Hey up everyone. Well, after 12 years it's time for my FXDX to find a new home, and I thought I'd tell you about it and why, despite the fact that I'm selling it, that I think the Harley FXDX Superglide Sport is the best bike Harley Davidson have ever made, and why this particular model is the best of them all. That might sound a bit biased, and probably is, but this isn't your average Harley. As the last carb-fed 1450 twin cam engine, this is in my view the best Harley power plant ever made, and with the classic Dyna chassis it's also the lightest of the big block bikes. The 2000 and 2001 1450 twin cam had the best quality Timken bearings on both sides of the crank. After 2002 these were replaced by a cheaper alternative and were susceptible to crank run out, especially if the engine was tuned. Timken bearings are bulletproof and make the earlier 1450 twin cam a much more smooth and reliable engine. With the better crank bearings and carb-fed fueling, this and the T-Sport version are the best FXDs ever made in my opinion. This is basically a cut-back bare-bones version of the T-Sport. You get everything you need and nothing more. There are no bells and whistles or added useless farkles. This was made before Harley Davidson began to try and make savings across the whole production process, and you can tell, with all components feeling very much the quality they should. These bikes are like gold dust now, and this is as good a low mileage example as you will find. It isn't a show pony, it's a rider's bike, which is why it needs a new home. It just hasn't been used regularly enough for years, and my health issues mean it isn't going to be. I've always had multiple bikes, so over the years I've rotated them, so the mileage is still very low. You get fully adjustable suspension front and back, which if I remember right was built by Shower. Suspension travel at the front wheel is 6.1 inches or 155mm, and at the rear wheel it's 4.9 inches or 124.5mm. And with twin discs up front, you have a Harley that stops and goes round corners. It will keep up with most bikes on the twisty roads. It has mid pegs which make a big difference. For me, they create a much more aggressive and more comfortable riding position with your feet directly below your thighs. The engine has had a full stage 1 tune. It has screaming eagle pipes and a high flow air filter with fueling adjusted properly, so you get all the torque and power without the pops and bangs that come from a poor fueling setup. Pickup between 60 and 100 miles an hour is phenomenal, and it will carry on revving until things get very illegal, even fully loaded. It makes me smile just as much today as it always did, and I will explain all about why I chose it later. The carb means pickup at low revs is much smoother than any of the fuel injected models, and although I know some people prefer the flat slide Mikuni to the standard Cayenne carb, I have always thought the Cayenne does a great job. Fueling is smooth and consistent, and has plenty of snap for me. It is a very stripped back Harley, and the earlier frame with a shorter wheelbase makes it much more flickable than the later models. Later models with a 6-speed box had a longer frame and also a heavier, wider front end. That made them lazy in the corners compared to the sharper steering of this model. Rake is steeper too, and the rear tyre is a narrower profile, so it runs clean through the twisties and handles far better than the later models. A La Pera seat makes it as comfortable as any bike you can ride, and the better balance of the shorter chassis, lighter front end and mid pegs make every journey a joy. I have kept highway pegs on, but taking them off is a 2-minute job and it would help lose even more weight. The bars are non-stock, as you can see. I do have the standard ones, but these just suited me, and they're really comfortable. The originals would need a new powder coat to look right, as finish is old and worn now. I have a huge custom leather bag for the rack with a rain cover and a roll bag that can be attached to the main bag, seat or forks. Maintenance has been studious. I have over 10 bikes and do all my own maintenance on everything, from a 50-year-old Laverda to a 2008 V-Strom. Oil changes are done overly regularly, filters changed every year regardless of miles, and clearance is checked at the same time because it's just easy. There's a new battery, and Pirelli Night Dragon tyres are not new, but there's still plenty of life left in them, and road holding is fantastic. It's soiled and I have no intention of putting it on the road this year, but it is ready to ride away. Or I do have a van, so within reasonable distance I can help with delivery at cost. There is a small turnaround where it can be clicked through the gears if you have insurance and the cash is in my hand, but without tax, full test rides aren't possible. But you can see it running in the footage in the video. You won't be disappointed. It comes with a full 12-month MOT that's just been done. Mileage is just over 12,000 miles, and you'll notice an anomaly on MOT records as new clocks show 10,000 miles. I have the old clock, but the needle was stuck, so I had to replace it. The only trouble I ever had was with the damn alarm, so the original TSSM has been replaced by a new Custom Dynamics TSM. I learned to hate the alarm system, but I do have the original TSSM and fob if you prefer being woken up randomly in the middle of the night for no reason. Original indicators have been swapped for smaller black ones to match the look. Pipe hit shields are blacked out now, as is the eyebrow. No tank stickers, just a badge on the rear custom rack, although I do have some older Harley badges that I considered fitting. I just preferred it without. The rear rack sissy bar backrest was built specifically for the bike, as was the huge handmade leather bag I will include if you want it. The wings were TIG welded properly, and the whole thing finished in the same crinkle finish as the standard engine cases. Paint was done a couple of years ago, but has done very little mileage since. The rear fender now has a rubber trim to protect the edge of the paint. It just finishes it off better and matches the trim on the tank strip. I'm in no rush, I'm just thinning out the collection and downsizing. The Harley is just too big and heavy for me these days, and I'd prefer to see it being ridden as it was meant to be. Any silly offers will just be ignored, and there's no swaps on this one either. I was that man who said I would never buy a Harley. After testing a Shadow 1100, Mean Streak and M109, the Harley won hands down on everything. It served a purpose when I needed something with a lower seat height that would haul 2 people and luggage around easily. It does still. But don't just take my word for it either. There are endless articles and quotes on forums about these bikes. Go and take a look for yourself, but here are a few of them. This next bit was a piece written by Donnie Peterson from Heavy Duty Cycles in Canada about the Fathead Twin Cam 88 and the 88B Fathead. Where should I start? Well, how about first describing this engine? 4.5 years in the making as a bulletproof platform for the future. Designed with durability and reliability in mind, the engineers are expecting a minimum 100,000 miles before rebuild. I'm writing this in March, and as of this date, they already have a Fathead with this magic mileage, and it doesn't need a rebuild. Yeah, I know of all the mythical Evos that have supposedly logged on the magic 100 grand, but let me tell you that for every rider that's actually done that, there are many more exaggerating their motorcycle's prowess. The Fathead is going to consistently do 100 grand without blinking. In fact, there are parts in that baby that will not need replacing for a few 100,000 miles, like the pinion bearing that rivals those used in top-fuel dragsters. The engine is over-engineered. It's a superlative effort in engine design that I have never seen or hoped to have seen in my 30 years of working on the V-twin. It's a platform for many modifications that are going to be extremely reliable. It's obvious to me that Screaming Eagle are going to attempt to take charge and control this engine's destiny in the high-performance arena. Again, by March 98, the factory had logged 2 million miles in testing, with 12,600 hours on the dyno. You see, this engine has been developed to run stock forever, and almost forever with Harley Davidson designed high performance components. This is why it's called a platform. If your heart desires this staging area for more power, it will be available, reliable, fast and durable. I don't think I've ever heard anybody wax quite so lyrical about an engine before, and I have to say thanks for the effort. F86 says, the FXDX was one of the best handling and stopping big twins Harley ever made. Engine performance is pretty much wide open. It can make basically whatever amount of power you can afford. I've ridden lots of bikes, Harleys, sports bikes, standards, and a well set up FXDX is as competent a bike as any 15-year-old 650-pound bike can be from a performance standpoint. It will never perform like a 450-pound sports bike, but it's very enjoyable to ride. CG Gorman says, my 99 has about 56,000 on it, and it's ridden at least 60 miles a day. Nearly every day it's above 40 degrees and not pouring rain, which ends up only being about 6 months. But still, parts are plentiful and it's easy to work on. A hell of a lot better than my 15-year-old Jag. It was the best all-round bike that Harley ever built. FXDX Rider says, I don't think there's a better Harley out there. If you really like to ride and carve the corners, the FXDX will do it. I have a 99, so I didn't get the trick adjustable suspension. I've considered upgrading, but it rides so well I changed my mind. The blacked out components are simply a matter of taste. I dig it. Most people prefer chrome on their bikes, but you will stand out at a bike night and you can ride when others are polishing the water spots from their chrome. I also prefer the mid controls. I see a lot of guys change them out for forwards, but for me the mid controls give better control of my weight when I'm in the turns. I have highway pegs to stretch out. I think this is the most rider orientated Harley made, with the possible exception of the 1200 Roadster. For real world riding, this is a do-it-all Harley. It will chuck around town, tour the interstates and carve through the corners better than most cruisers. Not many people really get this bike, but those who do are pleased with the results. Dynagino says, ditto to all of the above. I have 36k on my 2000 FXDX and wouldn't trade it for any other bike in the Harley range. She handles great in the twisties and brakes well, and with the dual disc setup up front. Production was 99 till 2005, and it's the best bike Harley have ever made. Moto Planeta said, the Dyna Superglide Sport arrived at the same time as Harley's new engine, the 1450 Twin Cam 88, and the American firm has designed a really good looking machine. In black, it's superb to look at and a pleasure to ride. This Harley is a delight. The engine is a real success. It's faithful to the American manufacturer's architecture and distills the pleasure you'd expect. What character, torque and flexibility. The fat head has a real kick in the mid-range. On the road, the FXDX's chassis doesn't disappoint. Road holding never calls for criticism, and you can even indulge in a bit of sporty muscle. For 2000, the bike gained a new adjustable fork, comfortable suspension and excellent braking, perhaps too much so at the rear. The Dyna Superglide Sport is certainly the American that's best suited to our soil. Kickit said, I have a 2000 FXDX. I've used it pretty much every day since I bought it in 2003, with about 2,000 miles on the clock. I rode it to work and back every day, about 3 hours, and it's a fantastic bike. A little bit of rust here and there because I don't baby it. I park it outside on the road every night, 12 months of the year. It still runs great. It's carb fed, so no messing about. The best bike I've ever bought. I don't think I'll ever buy another bike now. Why bother when by sheer luck I chose the best bike they ever made? Another report states HD cooked up the Dyna Superglide Sport to fill the need for a new performance-orientated cruiser. It boasts firmer suspension with improved handling over the base model, along with an aggressive rider triangle due to the mid-mount foot pegs. Lastly, some specs. Standard specs for the Dyna Superglide Sport. Max power of 67 horsepower comes in at 5,200 RPM. Max torque of 86 foot-pounds comes in at 3,500 RPM. Claimed fuel economy is about 43 miles to the gallon. The specs on mine, I would guesstimate, are about 75 horsepower at the wheel, a bit over 90 foot-pounds of torque, and it will still return 40 miles to the gallon plus depending how you use the throttle. Overall length is 91.4 inches or 2,319 millimeters. Seat height is 27.25 inches or 691 millimeters. Rake is 28 degrees. Trails 4 inches or 104 millimeters, and the wheelbase is 63.2 inches or 1,603 millimeters. Tyres are 100 90/19 on the front and 150 80/16 on the rear. One magazine said, "For customers who want a bike that is as much fun to ride on twisty roads and around town as it is to look at, the FXDX fixed the bill perfectly. Vibration isolated, black on black twin cam 88 engine, sinister blacked out looks, triple disc brakes, premium adjustable sports suspension, nimble handling, excellent lean angle, and aggressive low slung seating." There you have it. That's why the Harley Davidson FXDX is the best Harley ever made, and why the early 2000 and 2001 models are the best of them all. If you are interested, feel free to drop me a line. Thanks as always for the support, and let me know what you think is the best Harley ever made in the comments. I look forward to hearing your thoughts. Try and remember to like the video and subscribe if you haven't already, and sharing the video anywhere you think people will be interested helps us a lot too. If you'd like to help us try and stay truly independent, you can make a one-off donation or join our group of monthly subscribers on the Ko-fi link in the description. There you get access to a private group where I share videos I can't screen on YouTube. Join us on Rumble too. The channel is new, but it already has some great content. And don't forget, we make the best biker t-shirts anywhere. Hundreds of original designs on premium quality t-shirts and neck gaiters, all available worldwide. Links to the main website and the Redbubble shop are in the description. Have a great week, and always remember, keep your spanners close and your keys even closer. Ride free, everyone!